A very good evening. Welcome to Elite TV. You're watching Open Debate in English. I'm your host, Chongtham Amrita, bringing you this edition with the topic Imphal Valley Open Jail. Imphal Valley is one of the most beautiful valleys in the world. During the Second World War, the British described it as a little paradise on earth, while invading Japanese general called it a flower on the lofty heights. Even the poets have depicted this beautiful valley as defended by rings of hills, guarded by warrior tribes. However, due to incompetent politicians who have ruled the state since 1972, this little paradise on earth resembles an open jail. The majority community, the Métis, cannot travel beyond the 700 square miles of the valley. The Kukis, who inhabit the surrounding hills, act as bloodthirsty jail guards. The central forces are mostly deployed in the so-called buffer zone. And what is a buffer zone? It is also known as the red zone, which prohibits anyone from the Métis community from crossing this line. Life inside the valley is strictly restrained by the state government and various armed forces with their numerous dictates, with their so many do's and don'ts. For the residents, life is nothing less than an open jail. To discuss on this matter, our panelists are present here in the studio with us. Our first panelist for tonight is Salam Shanti, independent journalist. Welcome to Open Debate.
Thank you for having me here.
And our second panelist for tonight is Ms. Kavita Hijam, labor activist. Welcome to Open Debate.
Thank you very much.
I'll start with Shanti first of all for today's topic. In this context, regarding this issue that has been plaguing Manipur state since the last year, May 3, 2023, the most that have been affected are the youths. Even the boys, the girls, all of the youths have been affected the most. The youth is a time when they should be full of learning, full of hope. Instead, they are filled with anger and fear and anxiety. Even after the situation returns to the normal state, this trauma that they are facing, it could last a very long time. So what would you have to say regarding this matter?
As you rightly mentioned, Amrita, that youth should be given education, and then they should be indulged in education. Instead, they are exposed to this violent conflict. This is very unfortunate. As the saying goes, youths are the future pillars of the society. So obviously they are the precious wealth of any society. This prolonged conflict between the Métis and Kuki communities has affected the youths, and there are the youths and the children, the women, they are exposed to these vulnerable situations and caught up in this kind of a conflict. It's very sad. And if a youth, if they grow up with kind of a fear and hatred in the society, they won't be able to contribute positively in the society. So since they are the precious wealth of the society, I mean, a large number of people with lots of negativity, can rob the happiness of the society that we live in. So I think, everyone loves a very happy and healthy society. So we must all, put in our efforts, and then, to bring a positive impact on these youths.
Very beautifully said in your first opening comment, Ms. Shanti, regarding that fear and the hatred that the youth have and the anxiety that the society needs to put a collective effort in order for their benefit. And moving on with that note, I'm coming to Kavita, that as our first panelist also mentioned regarding this youth and the anxiety that have long-lasting effects. Regarding this, the fear and hatred and anxiety that plagues the people, it afflicts the people for a very long time. And even after the normalcy returns, how can the social workers of the state who are working for the benefit of the society, how can they bridge this gap, the deep-rooted fear and hatred that have been inflicted upon the two communities with respect to this violence?
First of all, thank you very much for having us here, because Amrita, it's been a year-long crisis that we have been facing, and it's the rarest of rarest that women panelists has been invited to discuss on this.
Yes.
So yes, congratulations to Elite at the same time, and thank you very much. Okay, regarding the fear and hatred that has the long-lasting affliction on us, on every one of us, things can't be, you know, rightly, what to say, I'm not finding the right word for this. It will take us time.
Yes.
It is not something that could be manned up or cope up with very easily. Now, there are a few things in your questions. First of all, the term which you have used, Amrita, social workers. Now, let us first understand who are social workers, because this word is being highly misused in our society today. First of all, social workers are professionals who aim to enhance overall well-being and help meet basic and complex needs of communities and people who are vulnerable, oppressed, or financially or socially in a very good status. Now, what we have seen in this time of social media, whenever a person goes out and hand over a 500 or 1,000 rupees to someone on on a very little continuous basis, now he would be termed as a social worker, which is not very right. When we talk about helping the downtrodden or helping the victims as social workers, we have to have certain qualities in us. That could be, of course, there are certain institutions, many today, which offer courses on social work, like master. You can have you can now do masters, and in such a way that person would be taught certain formulas and certain ways to how to deal with the situation or the particular person or section of people, how to deal with them in the most right way. It could include physical activities, psychological activities. It could include so many things, various things, as what would be needed from time to time. When we talk about social workers, few names I could remember. There are many more, of course, but few names that I could remember right now is like Anna Hazare,
Yes.
and Ram Mohan Roy, and the Mr. Kailas, who have worked immensely for the child welfare, for against the child laborers. Now, what to do for the mutual trust and love, to build up again the mutual trust and love between the Meitei and Kukis. Now, that was the last part of the question. Amrita, I believe to build that up again, which is not going to be very easy to be true. First, we need to build up a economic bridge between both the communities. That would be the first thing that I would like to suggest. If the authorities are listening to this, please make a note of it. The economic bridge would be the most important thing to bring closer both the communities. And as a matter of fact, if we want to promote the idea of Manipur, then we need to promote the economic, economic relations between the communities. That would be the first thing. And yes, the entertainment industry, songs, movies, and the Sumang Lila we have, that could be used as a medium to enhance the human relations, to grow that feeling of humanity, love, and brotherhood. So entertainment industry will do wonder if given a chance, which today we see that it's not happening at all. And education, the most important part. We need to know about their culture, they need to know about our culture. We need to exchange information about our history. We need to understand each other's folktale, mythology. That's how we could somewhere build a bridge between us and them. Now, me sitting over here using this very word us and them is not at all acceptable. That is what I feel. I do apologize for using these terminologies, but yes, this could be the best we could be doing, because war will never bring development, and what we need right now is peace. Numbers of death, number of casualties has been heartbreaking. Yes, and this could be the way forward.
And it's increasing day by day.
Yes.
It's increasing and there is no stopping to it, and nobody seems to be finding any solution for either the solution of this conflict nor the solution of how to rehabilitate our youth and the people who have been displaced. Indeed, I think our panelists have brought forth very important points, and Kavita, thank you for bringing up this. I'm glad that you brought up the definition and you debunked the word social worker and how it's supposed to be in the truth of the word and how it's defined as. And because it is not just a job or a profession that somebody takes up, but it's supposed to serve the people, the society, and that's how they work for it. And yeah, I'm glad that you brought up a lot of other aspects as well, like education, like psychological trauma, like the economic areas that I would like to touch upon all of that later. But before that, I'd like to move on to Shanti again regarding psychological impact, the psychological trauma that these vulnerable people who are living in the relief camps, they have been victims. They are the direct victims because their houses have been burned down and they have faced all of this burning. They have already abandoned their homes and their
Sorry, I could not get.
Hello, is your mic working? Is the audio audible to you?
It's very low. I could not hear your question properly.
Okay, regarding the people who are living in the relief camps, the boys and girls, especially the youths, they are in a very vulnerable moment of their lives right now. They are the direct victims of this war, of this conflict, so to speak. And they have lost not just their homes, they have also lost their youth, as I was mentioning, as the way that I started this program is with the focus on the youth. And of course, their physical rehabilitation is of prime importance. They need to have their proper housing, and they need to have a place to stay, of course. But what about their psychological rehabilitation, which you also mentioned previously regarding the trauma that the boys and girls even face, the youths. And we have also heard this news recently of these people living in the relief camps being victims of trafficking, being victims of even prostitution, or drug abuse, even drug carriers. So they are prone to a lot of social evils with respect to this conflict, and since they are in a very vulnerable spot, how would you say how would you put your comment? And also, do you think that the government is looking into this enough?
I think, Amrita, it will be a very great mistake to expect from the government at the moment in this matter, because they have a lot of things to carry on with this kind of ongoing conflict. Like growing up boys and girls in the relief camp, they have n number of factors, when it comes to having psychological problems, education, or even the adults. When I go for reporting, I really feel bad about these adults, and there are gender issues and education. Apart from that, young girls are sharing the same room with their uncles, aunts, and I mean the entire family. There are 6 or 7 of them, just packed in a small room, which is
the right to privacy.
Yeah, so their privacy is totally this thing. So it is very sad, and heartbreaking and very unfortunate. So I think the government also, we can, as I said, we cannot expect much from the government at the moment. So I think we must work in, and providing them, some emotional, this kind of a hope. And then I think women should really come out, because there is a saying, if you educate a man, you educate a man, but if you educate a woman, you educate a generation.
Yes.
So women plays, you know, a very vital role in shaping a very good society. So I think women folk, and as it is, women of Manipur have been playing a very important and vital role in our society. So I think we should all, you know, work and put our extra efforts, give them hope, unconditional love, you know, and give them this mental health support and space for this, you know, all kind of counselings. I think this should be the cheapest and simplest way, you know, to help them.
You mentioned counseling and you mentioned some efforts, but as you mentioned that it's wrong to expect anything from the government. So when you mentioned all of these counseling centers and the help that should be given, do you think that we as the people of the community should come together for them and not expect anything from the
exactly.
government? Indeed, a very strong comment from you, and I really commend
I mean,
you
what
on
can
that.
you do? It's I mean, in 2-3 days, it will be 1 year old conflict.
Yes, of
and
course.
between the communities, you know, so the government is not able to contain the this ongoing situation. So how can we expect further?
Yes, if they wanted to do it, it could have done months ago.
Yes, months
a
ago.
year-long conflict is not natural. Indeed,
That
a
is
very
what-
strong comment from you, and I'll get back to you on that. And now moving on to Kavita, you mentioned economic sector to be the most important sector to revive this and to really put us forward from this conflict. So these economic lifelines that have been destroyed during this conflict, it's still destroyed. It's still in the very distress, because even recently we have heard news of tankers being attacked, of bombs being blasted at bridge trying to attack our lifeline. So the other community, even though I don't want to use this word, we have to for the sake of this discussion, and they are targeting our lifelines, our economic areas, our economic lifelines. So even though this is much destroyed and the highways are still not commutable, and because we had about 4 months of internet ban, and due to that many jobs were lost. Those who have been working from home, and they have been working for companies that are based in the Europe, in the US, and even their salaries was also enough to sustain the economy even for a while, but that seems to have been completely nil by now. Do you think the government is now morally accountable to compensate all of these jobs that have been lost?
They are accountable for much more than only this.
Okay.
To add on to what Iche have just put forward, it is the voice of every Manipuri, I believe, right now. He or she could be Kuki or Baite or Naga or Meitei Pangal. From every section, this is what we are getting to listen to, what we are hearing. As you also go on ground, me also, we are trying our best to put forward the grievances. Yes, people are hopeless when something is need to be done from the government side, but at the same time we should first understand what the government is. Now let me put forward it in such a way, the role of the government, which we have of course chosen, being a kind of democracy. The role of government is to promote economic and efficiency and growth. Now, fair distribution of income through taxation, which we pay, you pay, we all pay from our pocket. Now, to provide social security system and an egalitarian society, that is what the government is supposed to do, right? Now, when we say government, we can't only look up to our chief minister only or to the governor only. There are many departments, many people whose salary are paid from the money which we have paid to the government. From that tax amount, their salaries are paid. Now, Okay, coming to your question, the economic activities are still, it's stalled and the highway is not free since many years. Now is the only time we are literally considering to discuss and to choose to look into it. But let us all agree, and we have to agree on this. It's been years since this highway extortion has been happening, and it's not only one community. Now when the internet was shut down, many families, many people lost their job, many of whom were paying for their kids' fees, were paying for the hospitalization of their family members. When the economy of a certain society okay, let me come to the smallest example. For a family, when the economic backbone of that family is broken, everything's crumbled down. His social status, his health, his mental health, everything crumbles down. And this family, let's consider Manipur as that family. Now when we talk about Manipur, we can't leave out a particular community. When we talk about Manipur, we have to go with everyone. Government, yes, morally, legally, they should compensate because they have felt severely on their roles. Now, where is our social security? Where is the authorities which would be providing us, which would be saving us? Where are they? There are lots of questions. And yes, I have seen whenever we talk about government, people tend to talk about Congress or BJP. It's not that. It's the people we have chosen to the in the general election to our Manipur Assembly, and now recently the MP election. When we choose them, we should not choose them. It would be little late to say, I believe, but many people have, many intellectuals have already said it before me. I'm also under the learning process right now. So yes, many people have already said and stated rightly that we should be choosing our representative on the basis of what he or she could do for us in return for the money we are paying for them. Literally, we are paying them to do their job, for which in many instances they would be taking salary, then they would be charging us extra for their chai pani. This is a slap. This is a very hard slap on the face of democracy on each one of us. And yes, I won't continue this topic for long because everything boiling inside me would be spreading up. So yes, the government, legally, morally, and on many other grounds, they should be compensating for it because yes, they have felt terribly. Thank you.
I'm glad you just mentioned, and I think you really brought up the spirit of democracy, which seems to have lost its meaning in Manipur, especially in Manipur. The democracy, the spirit of democracy that is for the people, by the people, and which is of the people as well. And these three cannot be one without the other. And you touch upon that, and I think it was high time that the people need reminding what is democracy. It's not party politics. It's very far from party politics. The spirit of democracy, as we have been mentioning, we have lost trust in the government, and the government is not a separate entity. It is the people. The people represented them, as you mentioned regarding with an example of the tax that we are paying, which is that we pay the tax because we trusted you to develop and you use that tax wisely for our benefit.
Yes.
And that is the only reason that we have elected you. I think you've brought up a very interesting point. I think we really would like to discuss more on that if we had more time. But to stick with this topic and in continuation with the points that you have brought out regarding the economic area of and economic growth. One of the very important economic lifelines is the trade that we have from Moree. And as we all know, Moree is now not just habitable, but it is off limits to the Meitei community. Now, coming to Shanti, we have recently read news of the government scrapping the free movement regime, and they have said that it is for the benefit of the people in order to exclude the foreigners from entering the state or the country. But there is also one other thing that the free movement regime has given us, which was actually beneficial for us. The free movement regime actually gave the liberty for the people to move into the town of Tamu as well. Which is situated in Myanmar, which is in another country. And because of the charm of Tamu, the charm of Moree exists, and it is a very vibrant economic area that people usually go for making their trades, for buying things and then selling them here in the valley. It looks like the removal of FMR will stop this completely. So, do you have? So, what are your comments on that?
Amrita, Burma, was Burma. I mean, now Myanmar was once under this British government at New Delhi till 1935. And after the Government of India Act, 1935, it became a separate administration. I mean, separated from India.
Okay.
But then still, border tribes were allowed to move freely, even if they got separated. And then recently, coming to the context of the present scenario of free movement regime, I think scrapping of this FMR was done very hastily during the heated of this debate against the illegal Kuki migrants into Manipur. Just to I think to cool down the tempers of the the people rather than the real purpose. I think this is against the FMR scrapping will run counter against the India Act East policy. This will have a negative effect. Also, see, Moree has this thing. It's a business hub. And as you rightly said, the charm of a Moree town is because of this FMR. So I think, considering these facts, I am of the opinion that scrapping of this free movement regime has no more this propaganda. It's more of a propaganda than the real purpose.
Okay,
I think so.
That it was, as you mentioned, it was done hastily. That it should be given more thought.
And even if the government scraps this free movement regime, I think the illegal infiltration of the illegal migrants, will be, cannot be curbed.
Yeah.
Because the bordering town, the Moree, this border is very porous, and so I think it was done very hastily without a real purpose.
Yes, it is a very good point. I think it needs to be made
Government
known
should
to
have
the
some
public.
sort of a vigil or surveillance to curb the situation from, about these illegal migrants.
Yes.
And why suddenly scrapping the FMR? I mean, this has no purpose.
Right.
I think.
Because if the point was to exclude or maybe deter the illegal immigrants from entering into India and Manipur, there are many other ways that could have been done. And yeah, FMR is not the only, because even with FMR being scrapped, illegal immigrants, we still know that just a few days ago we read on the papers.
Maybe some large chunk of immigrants, at one point can be, curbed, but then, and ultimately, since it's porous, the border is porous, the government cannot, curb the situation even though by scrapping the FMR.
Yeah, so by the point by scrapping FMR to deter these infiltrators from entering, it is in fact affecting the life that Moree used to have before.
Yes.
And it is in fact counterproductive that they have done. They did a very strong, that is a very good point. I think it needs to be made known to the public as well. So regarding the More trade, which serves as a very chunk of our lifeline or chunk of our market is dominated by this More trade in Imphal. So moving on with this note, I'll move on to Kavita, that there are so many drivers that have been staying at home without jobs because of this war, because of this conflict, and most of them have been traveling to More for their jobs, and they have been driving passengers, and they have all themselves been employed in this driving for this work. They have been related with it for so many years. Now they are out of jobs. Their livelihood has been destroyed. And regarding this More Karbar, as we know, the More business, this was the only means of livelihood, because how many months has it been for them going out of jobs? So how can this be? How can our drivers, be rehabilitated and they be fit into the system again? Your thoughts?
Amrita, we have a YouTube channel by the name of RK Production.
Okay.
Now we focus mostly on the socio-political topics. Since the crisis started on 3rd of May, and since 5th evening, we started doing groundworks to make a report. Okay. For our own understanding and to send it out to other states and countries. Now, what we found, when the first victims were from Churachandpur and Kangpokpi, then the people from More, they started coming out. Of course, government help, but yes, that's another story. Now, when we meet those victims who came from More, many of them were not actually from More. They were from other places who have rented spaces in More, through which they were doing, carrying out this business, and yes, their livelihoods totally depend on this More lifeline. Now, India is known for porous spaces on our borders, cross-border smuggling and illegal infiltrators. India is known for that. For example, the Bangladesh border, the Pakistan border, Nepal is of course free, and from the port also, from Sri Lanka side or from Mumbai port also, there have been cases, innumerable cases of illegal infiltrators and smuggling things happening. Now Manipur is not different. And the porous border of Manipur, Mizoram, this side of India and that side of Myanmar is known to everyone. Now, scrapping of FMR, I do agree with you, Vijay, that it has been done hastily, and it serves more of a propaganda this thing other than the real agenda. Yes, it was done in such a way just to cool down the anger
of the
people. Yes, by blaming the illegal infiltrators. Now government has to do something. The government we are talking about, the CM or the HM or the Prime Minister, they have to do something.
There are so many things that I'm just adding
yes,
on.
Yes,
the government could have done, like, even it's it's a serious offense that the CRPF personnel were killed.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, this is a serious offense. The government could have done, have taken up a severe action, but it's just the words and no action at all.
Right.
So
it's not that we are expecting very much from the government. It's the duty of the government,
yes,
and
exactly.
It is our what to say. It is. I don't want to use a very ugly word here, but yes, it is the duty of the government that we should not be reminding them to do their job. They should be doing it upfront, willingly, which they have not done, of course. Now, coming back to this FMR thing, yes, it was more to cool down the temper of our people, of Manipuris, of course. Now, FMR itself oppose the Act East policy. Integrated checkpost has been created already. Now what is the point of FMR then? And what is the point of Act East policy then? There were, you know, we have...
Because More is the connecting point.
Yes, right, exactly. And we have already invested so much in Myanmar.
Yes.
And the India Kaladan project, should that be stopped? No. And yes, with FMR also they might proceed to that, but it wouldn't be that much.
Not by
smooth.
scrapping the FMR.
Yes, it wouldn't be very much smooth without the with the FMR, to say true. And there are many villages.
If this was the case, they could have done years back.
Yes, because
it's not just
point.
1 year back that the illegal immigrants,
the order was,
you know, coming
right.
into Manipur or
Right.
elsewhere in other northeast states. So they could have done, if this was the main thing, then they could have done
if
it
that was their
years
focus,
back.
if that was their agenda. Yeah,
And
for
yes,
the illegal
again-
immigrants not to enter, then many other lists, there are lists of things that can be done, and FMR is the last of them if it is in the
So
list.
it was done in the heated debates just to cool down the tempers of the
And
masses.
here,
That's what I
a
feel.
very important, crucial point is there. There are villages in Nagaland and Mizoram which not only borders with Myanmar, but one part of their village is this side and one part is that side. One part belongs to India,
And
the
one
other
part
part
to the
belongs to
other
Myanmar.
country.
Now, in one day, if you tell them, now there is FMR, now you can't go to your cousin's home.
Or maybe you cannot just cook in your kitchen and do your
Right.
other things on the other side of the
Right,
house.
there is this
Right, because
kitchen which
As
is
simple as that.
Even in it, because this decision that has been hastily done just for the propaganda in time of election, so to speak, because we feel it that way. And yeah, because in Nagaland there is a very different cultural aspect that they have completely overlooked. Indeed, yeah, very good point.
It would be good if this thing also become one of the jumlas. That would be the best thing to say. Okay, apart from that, yes, the people of Nagaland and Mizoram are rightly opposing FMR, because when FMR is implemented, we scrap more of its charm, as you have rightly said, Iche. We literally scrap the charm of More. See, my personal example. The first time I went to Kota village was when I was going to Tamu. And when I was working out of state, there I used to tell my college friends and my work buddies that I used to, you know, make them count the benefits of visiting Manipur, because whenever we used to make out of station plans, they used to consider Ladakh, Kashmir, they used to consider Kerala, and I used to, you know, suggest them, why not Manipur? Because first we have to understand one thing, and many of us do agree with this, I know, that many of our non-Manipuri friends do not know that Manipur exists. A state Manipur exists. Many of us will, if your Hindi is good, they would say, Nepali ho kya? And if
This is nothing new.
yes, that is what we have been. And okay, I wouldn't go to that chinky and those stuffs, but yes, this is always happening. When I had the chance to tell them about Manipur, I will never miss out the opportunity to mention about More, because I used to tell them, if you come to Manipur, then only few of us had passports, not all of us had. So those friends without passport, I used to tell them, if you come to Manipur, you would be able to visit this place in Myanmar, Tamu, without visa.
Without visa.
And yes, and it would be a totally different experience. That I used to tell them. Now, after the FMR, that was before FMR, after FMR, who would like to go to More? It's the temperature over there is not very pleasant, first of all. Second thing, I won't be able to go to Tamu to visit the Thoibi path, which is very much culturally associated to my taste. And most of the time we used to go there for business purposes. We used to buy lots of good and cheap stuffs from there. Whenever there is Ningol Chakova or something, we used to rush out toward More. Now not only More, Tengnopal, then Kota, then there are many villages which would be affected. Now here again, as a Manipuri, with the idea of Manipur, when we lessen our travel towards a region, then automatically there would be a gap between us and them, right?
Right.
The Meitei is staying in Kota and the Meitei is staying near Imphal area. Somehow there was this thin bridge between us. Now because of the distance, that relation would be, you know, gradually there would be a gap coming up in between. Now how to rehabilitate them? This would be a very big question. People coming out from the More, if they are not locally from More, okay, it would be a little better for them because they could find a job here and there. But if they are from More, they are now in somewhere in valley area, in one of the relief camps, or in someone's you know, family or relatives place. They are in both cases, they are victims, lack of privacy, lack of many things, many things, because only food and clothes doesn't mend up everything. It's the you know, psychology, to be psychologically fit, there are lots of things that we need. Now what this FMR, how this would be helping the More people in a negative way, even if Meitei, this shouldn't be the case, but still, even if Meitei couldn't go back to the More area, then also whoever, whichever community staying over there, be it the Tamilians, be it the Meitei Pangal, be it the Nagas, or be it the Kukis, there would be an automatical rise in the smuggling through the porous borders. And by smuggling, name anything like gold, it could be gold, it could be precious stones, it could be arms, it could be ammunition, right? It could be infiltrators, highly trained infiltrators. It could be. It would be adding up to all, because only the localites will know the routes, the local routes. Even the air, the classic example, the air, the police forces, the paramilitary forces, the Indian army. There are many places which they couldn't keep their eyes on. That's why there are so many infiltrators already here. And with the FMR, the government is somehow, in a way or another, directly or indirectly, literally encouraging them these wrong things. So yes,
Kavita, yeah, just to interrupt you there, it's funny because just in the run-up to the elections this year, the Lok Sabha elections, the state government have very proudly stated that they have scrapped FMR from Manipur, and surprisingly, the demand that the people that have been making regarding the ST inclusion of the Meiteis, and also regarding the NRC, those two have been surprisingly left out. And while they have been pushing this scrapping of FMR as a very like cherry on top kind of a situation in their policy that have done regarding that they have done regarding this conflict. So what are your thoughts on that? Yeah, it is open to the floor.
could you please repeat the question? I was
Regarding
little
this
sorry.
FMR, since we have been discussing about it,
Yes.
the state government have very proudly stated that in the run-up to the elections, they have scraped the FMR for the benefit of the Manipur people in order to exclude the infiltrators, while also very strategically not mentioning the demands that the people do want to be mentioned, which is the NRC or the ST list inclusion. Yeah, your thoughts and your comments on that.
First of all, our esteemed government and their agencies have failed terribly on addressing the actual problem. And this FMR, I pray to God, it should be one of the jumlas, if possible, because it does more of it adds on more of a propaganda value than the real what to say, the real agenda,
real solution.
yes, it can never be a real solution, because as I mentioned before also, what about the Bangladesh border with Ceylon? They are fencing all the way. It is done so sophisticatedly, and our BSF Jawans are there, but still this infiltration thing always happens. Almost every day, to say true. The Pakistan border, how the terrorists are coming into Kashmir and Delhi, how they are reaching Mumbai, still with these border fencings and all. So yes, this FMR thing is totally, should I be saying this word, bullshit?
Okay,
you have the right
to, yeah, remove that part. If but yeah, we do understand your sentiments, and moving on from that, because you have just reflected the frustration that the people of Manipur have, and I think we really need to take into the attention of it, and really have to, yeah, we can opt out to not listen the words that was just uttered. In fact, that did not happen. And now, moving on with our discussion today to Shanti, we have been discussing about FMR and the livelihoods and the people affected. And what about the education sector? That seems to be very grossly neglected, because even in the COVID lockdown periods, those children who went to the schools and universities during the COVID, they only achieved their education needs only through online medium. And then it was about 2 years, and then roughly they again went back to their schools, and then suddenly this conflict has again disrupted their normal lives, their normal education lives. So what are the ways that we can make the effort for them not to because of this situation, the children, the students are getting promoted, but we are not sure of the quality of the education that they are receiving. So how can we fulfill this? How can we fill this gap that they really, because a classroom, a normal education that they need is mostly substituted with online classes, which I believe don't give the enough attention to the students. And do you think the government needs to take up efforts to fill this gap that they have missed out in their education?
I think government should take up an alternative means to fill the gap. You know, as you mentioned about education, and education means, you know, if an education system collapses, it's the collapse of the nation.
Right.
And it's kind of a slow suicide. Not killing, I mean, not committing or suicide. It's a, you know, as a society, you know, the youth, education, it is the utmost importance. Whether war or conflict or whatever, education must not stop. Okay, we may have some difficulties, you know, going to colleges or educational institutions, but government has to provide an alternative. There are technology. Why should the government ban the internet? At least through internet. Okay, during the COVID, there was this online classes. Likewise, you know, during the conflict also, I mean, instead of banning this internet, the government should, you know, utilize this technology to educate the youth. And, you know, I find it very funny when the conflict started in May 3rd. I mean, on May 3rd last year, Honorable Home Minister, this Amrita came on and visited Manipur on 29 and stayed for 3 days, I think. He rightly said that students will be given online classes, but there was no internet. So what a contradictory. I mean, this is really havoc, you know.
Failure of the Berlin.
Failure, yeah. And also thinking of, I mean, no, keeping aside the education again, there are these village volunteers. When I go out to report in the red zone areas, I met such innocent young girls and boys holding, you know, arms, protecting the territory. I mean, without proper authority or training. What is this? The state is the sole responsibility to protect and safeguard the people and the territory. Why should these young girls and boys, men, women, whoever, should be doing their job?
Right.
I mean, and these young girls and boys, they are missing out on their education.
They are missing out on their childhood.
Childhood,
The memories,
yeah,
what kind of
precious
memories?
moments of their life.
Right.
I mean, instead, since they are compelled to take up the arms because the government is not doing their job, and education is a fundamental right, and it's equivalent to right to life. It is derived from right to life according to Article 21A, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So education is the utmost important for the development of any society. And in Manipur, even before the conflict, we have seen lots of these youths, students, not being targeted but exposed to this kind of prolonged conflicts in the form of burns, blockades,
Which is very
protests,
wrong.
protesting on the streets.
Yes.
I mean, this should not be encouraged. So I think this is really a bad situation, and it will hamper a lot in the growth of a society or any nation or a state or whatever. I think first of all the government should contain this conflict as soon as possible, and then should be doing their duty by safeguarding the people of the, be it Kuki or Mite, and especially the young boys and girls out there in the red zone, holding arms just to protect the territory. This is a very sad and very unfortunate.
Right. Just to remind our viewers that in last year, during the protest that was erupted during the missing case of Hemanjit and Lintoina, a lot of their students, a lot of their classmates went out on the streets to protest against the government. It was a very democratic, peaceful protest. We have seen footages of children and the students in their uniforms raising up their hands to show that they don't bear any arms and they don't come to attack.
It was a peace rally.
Yes, it was a very peaceful
Still
rally,
they were
but
answered
they
with
were
pellet
heavily,
guns.
Yes.
they were heavily attacked. They were fired against. A lot of the students suffered so much. Maybe they will suffer that even in their adult lives. So I think that reflects what the government intention, where the government's intention lies with regards to education. Do you think so?
Yes, I think it's a total failure of law and order, and then it's a vicious circle, and failure of economy, because youths can, a vibrant and healthy youths can, the healthy and the happy youths will ultimately, provide a healthy and vibrant society.
Just to add on, Iche, it terrifies me to understand that, to see that what kind of message we are giving to our youth when they would be, at our age. What they would be telling to there would be certain stories that they would be telling to their children, and what they would be thinking of us and our government which we have selected. And I'm really glad that this conversation is happening after the election.
Because we know about the freedom of speech in the state as well. Hence, we have appropriately titled Imphal Valley Open Jail. And moving on with this discussion, and
Amrita, just to add on,
yes, please continue.
The history ELITETV have with the government, I would again repeat that it's better, it's good that we are having this conversation after the election. Yes, please go on.
Okay, so as we have Shanti has also mentioned that these innocent young students and youth, they are taking up arms to protect their own villages. So there was a situation, there was an outbreak of looting of arms from the police armory, and now the arms are everywhere. and some certain groups have concentrated these arms upon themselves in order to safeguard the villages in the outskirts. But then again, moving as we have come to, as months have passed, some certain groups have now turned against their own community, and they have now been circulating their own dictates, their do's and don'ts, because they have these arms, they have gained a certain right to threaten the people, and they now influence them not to celebrate festivals, not to participate in any other whatever cultural festivals that is traditionally very much, and they're very much connected with the Meitei community. So we have seen a lot of ban against filmmaking, against festivals, and the movie industry, which is also one other sector that brings a lot of income and a lot of exposure for the state, that have been banned for so long as well. I think only very recently it has resumed. So what do you have to say, Kavita, regarding this armed group trying to impose their dictates on their own community even?
Okay, Amrita,
Because they are infringing and encroaching upon the freedom and privacy of each individual.
right. Now there are two things. One, the unauthorizedly armed people, and the second thing would be the festival part.
Okay.
Now, when we talk about the armed peoples who are unauthorized and illegally, they have somehow get hold of the arms, we should, in a way, government is to be blamed in every way for that thing. But yes, when government didn't and the agencies didn't take action when they were supposed to, it angered our people. Now the public outrage that resulted in the looting of arms, and after that also our government and the agencies were still incompetent to recover all those arms.
Of course.
First, they didn't take action on time. Second, they armed our innocent peoples, the innocent public, the innocent youth. Now, when innocent people are weaponed with anger and arm that could kill someone, the untrained people, there are certain expectations, or it could be said that it was already planned or destined that these people, this set of our people, will use those arms for unfair reasons, like what we had seen in recent election
Yes,
time. We
the
have
violence.
seen that.
I
Yes.
think this is the first time in the valley area
Yes,
that such kind of violence was taken place.
We always talk
In
of
the elections, I mean, using arms.
yes,
you know.
yes, yes. We always used to talk of, or we always used to think of the hill areas when we talk about armed people capturing food and creating havoc or violence in this election area, and attacking the electoral candidates.
Yes.
That has never happened in Valley.
Valley. Yes.
Right.
And I'm 34 now, and I have never heard of it. Maybe with my limited knowledge, I don't know. But yes, we have never seen that in last 3 decades. That's for sure. Now, the festival part. One of a person I respect the most, he was jailed in Banaras. During those time, he experienced few things which from which that experience turned to wisdom, and I have the opportunity to get that wisdom from that Oja. So that Oja told me that when he was in jailed in Banaras, it was with high security jail like that. the jailer or the jail authority, they used to organize these small functions and festival kind of mahol, festival kind of atmosphere. They used to organize small games or this like festivities, we could say. And at the time of Diwali or New Year, certain recreational activities used to be done. Now, the reason why it was done, because when you are jailed, you are under a small area, you are inside a small cell, and you could get in lots of negative thoughts. You could thought of escaping the jail, you could think of killing the guard, you could think of attacking a fellow.
There is no freedom, so many negativity.
A fellow this jail person, you could thought of harming them. So why festivals are created, apart from the religious sentiments, religious values, and we being social animals, festivals are needed so that we could forget our worries for that some time. I can't be crying and I could be taking part in Thabal Chongpa, right?
As simple as that.
Yes. That would be the the slightest example I could think of right now. Now in Germany, in a year you will find thousands of festivals. Why? Because we know the history of Germany. Like in Sicily, which has been damaged several times because of war, because of earthquake. We have almost many festivals are more than India. Many festivals are celebrated over there. It is to overcome all those tragedies, all those human emotions, all those mourning and those negative feelings. To come over there, we need more festivals, and humans have created more festivals, if I put it this way. So less festivals could result into more violence. Why I say this? When we talk about the Muslims in Manipur, we talk about the Meitei Pangals. They take part in Ningol Chakoba. They take part in many of the Meitei festivals because of the history, because of our relation. Now when we talk about the Muslims of Pakistan or other countries, so when we talk about them, we remember about terrorists. I am not trying to color every Muslim as terrorist. I won't be doing that. But yes, when we talk about Al Qaeda, when we talk about ISIS, we will never hear a Christian or a Muslim ISIS, right? Until unless they have done that for a specific target or reason. So yeah, there are certain cases. So less number of festivals, more number of violence. More number of festivals,
of course.
Less the violence.
That is a very interesting and in fact a very factually true correlation that you have put up. But since our time is almost coming to an end, I would like both of you to make a final statement, both of you each, and then we will wrap up this episode. Yeah, please continue.
Amrita, it would be very much unfulfilling if I don't add this one line.
Sure, please.
Considering the Manipur situation, when we talk about festivals, recently our Meitei Christians, they opt out not to celebrate Christmas.
Yes.
Our Meitei Pangals, they had a low-key Muslim festivals, right? The Eid. And
like we had Dark Diwali.
Yes, we had Dark Diwali, and we didn't celebrate Ningol Chakoba. It was it was a message to everyone that we are taking part in the pain and in the mourning of our loved ones that you have lost, right? But again, there were certain news where mob culture and moral policing was faced by some people or on people, which is very wrong. We have our choice. I can choose anything I want, but I can impose that choice, my choice, on you. That would be very much wrong. If he or she wants to detach their feelings, their emotional feelings with my loss, then I won't be blaming him or her, or snatching his or her Athene pot, or damaging his or her car. That wouldn't be my personal opinion. We should not be doing that. Thank you.
Yeah, that is indeed a very good point. Not just a good point. I think it's very much it very much the truth, because nobody, not even the government, not even armed groups, have a right to influence upon us their agenda, their wants or desires upon us, because my fundamental rights is supreme, just like yours is supreme, and we should agree on that. That is the message that you have given. So, Shanti, would you like to give a closing statement, and then we'll wrap up this episode?
I think the government should act fast.
Yes.
That is the solution now.
Yes.
though it's been a
Act,
year.
and then with a well thought out solution, and not just done hastily just to please some groups of people. Indeed.
Yes, sorry.
Just with a solution that is well thought out and that will really benefit the people, and not something that is hastily done.
I think unconditional love, hope, these are the cheapest thing that human emotions that we can provide to each other.
And willingness.
Willingness to come out, to reach out to the people, you know, and youngsters should not be out there, you know, taking up arms. And, you know, these are the few things that I could add.
Thank you so much, and we really had a very enlightening and engaging
Amrita,
session today.
Amrita,
yes,
just
yes,
one
Kavita.
line, just
one
one line,
just
sorry.
half a minute for you, and then we will wrap up. Okay.
Thank you. Arming our youths in the most illegal way possible would be killing our generation. So to the government
yes,
and
right,
the
correct.
learned authorities and our intellectuals, please do not kill the generations to come. They are
And when
literally dying.
when education is interrupted for a prolonged time, you know, with the conflict,
Yes.
you know, we are at the risk of creating a very what do you say, a lost generation, you know. So one should think of ways and means not to stop education at any cost.
Indeed. Very
Please don't
strong
make such a
comments.
situation
Yes.
today that our next generation and the generation will come up to our grave to spit on us, and your grave won't be spared at that time. And this is especially for the government officials and the authorities.
Indeed. Strong
Thank you.
comments from both of our panelists, and we have discussed the topic Imphal Valley, an open jail, and we have touched upon the psychosocial aspects, the economic aspects, the education aspects, and of course the political aspect of this. And I'm very glad to have our two female panelists for today, and we really had a very interesting view from our female panelists. I'd like to thank Shanti Salam and Kavita
you.
Hijam once again for being here.
Thank you.
I would also like to thank our viewers for tuning in tonight. Please leave your comments and feedback with us. We will be back again next Monday, same time, with more exciting topics. Until then, have a good night.